Welcome back to Relatable Wisdom, the podcast where everyday people share the quotes that shaped how they see life, offering you daily wisdom to help you navigate your own journey with more clarity and purpose. Today's guest is G. Michael Hopf, a USA Today bestselling author and Marine Corps combat veteran who's written over 40 books, from the battlefield to bestseller lists. He brings a unique perspective on resilience and the human spirit under pressure. Let's step into Michael's world for a few minutes and hear the quote that has guided him through it all. Yeah, tell us your name and what you do.
My name is G. Michael Hopf, and I'm a USA Today bestselling author and entrepreneur and business owner.
Thank you for being on the podcast today.
Of course, absolutely.
What's your favorite?
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, my pleasure. What's your favorite?
I've got several. I mean, my favorite quote that actually has really served me over time. I was kind of joking with you a little bit. I mean, I do have my own quote that's become quite popular, but I really don't want to take the deep dive into that because that kind of gets into geopolitics and things like that. What I'd want to talk about is a gentleman by the name of Napoleon Hill. He had a book called Think and Grow Rich, and he had a quote that went, whatever the mind of man can conceive and believe, it can achieve. And the second I read that quote years ago, I felt like I'd been given a cheat code in life and really have a true understanding that our reality, the world itself, springs from our mind. And our mindset, our thoughts are the creators, the engine of our life and our reality.
Well, whatever the mind can conceive and believe,
it
can achieve.
It can achieve.
Oh, that quote is in 3 parts. And how long have you known this quote?
I've started reading Napoleon Hill 20 years ago. He's famous for his one book, Think and Grow Rich. He, as a young man, he was hired, I think, was it by some of the big land barons and businessmen in the early 20th century in the United States. And what he decided to do was to study them, and he wrote a book about them. You know, how did someone become wealthy? How did someone what is the secret sauce? What is that formula for someone to say come from nothing and then become something and have wealth? And he broke it down that it's mindset, it's how you think. And it's more than just how you think, it's how you always think and how you deal in situations of stress and how you see the world kind of through your mind's eye. And that's where the quote kind of breaks it down as far as whatever a man, that could be anybody, the man means mankind, can conceive, means whatever that you can think of using your imagination. So you take your imagination, and then he goes and believe. So then you apply the belief that it can happen, then it will manifest.
Wow. Why do you think this quote resonates with you deeply?
Oh, wow. I've always been fascinated by people that have done amazing things, specifically people that have come from nothing and gone somewhere in life. And I've always found that fascinating. So when I ran into Napoleon Hill, he was a guy who came from nothing and ended up achieving lots of great things. I mean, we're talking about him right now, and he's been dead many, many, many years. And so I myself have always wondered, like, what is that? Is it luck? I actually don't believe in luck. I think that we make our own luck, and that's with our minds. Yes, can we be put in certain circumstances? But then what comes first, the chicken or the egg, right? Did we put ourselves in those circumstances because of the way we think and how we interact and how we conduct ourselves in life? And do we only think positively, and we only think things in a good way, and we only see ourselves succeeding? So it's resonated with me because being curious of how people I came from nothing had gone on to achieve things, I just wanted to know what that, if you were to take something and distill it down to its basic common denominator, it's the thought. And so when I first read it, it made sense. And it also seemed, is it really that easy? But while it's easy in theory, it's easy. It's not easy in practice. Means just like you work your body and exercise, you have to work your mind the same way.
Yeah.
So if you can believe in that concept, but at the same time, you're constantly, because we live in this world with lots of distractions and social media and the news and all the stuff that's going on, you have to really train your mind to constantly stay in that mindset and that position to only think that way. So you have to again, just like you work your body or you work your soul through your spirit through prayer and connection to God, you also then have to work your mind and exercise it on a daily basis in order for it to bring you the benefits that it can.
Yeah. Would it be kind to share with us a very micro idea that you've conceived, believed, and achieved? Doesn't have to be very big.
Yeah. Actually, I've done it quite a bit in my life actually now. One was oh God, I'll just pick up when my very very first book
Okay.
was I've written 40 books now.
Okay.
My very very first book was a children's book, and I didn't go to school. I have no education, by the way. That kind of makes people kind of pause when it's based on the amount of success that I've had, specifically in writing. They had just assumed that I've gone to college and I've got a degree in creative writing or English degree, English lit, and none of that. And so the very first book I wrote when I was 39 or 40 years old. And I got the idea because I'd read children's books to my daughters. And so I came into my wife and I go, what would you think if I wrote a children's book, a children's illustrated book, like the one with all the pictures in it and like very
Yeah.
few words? She goes, that sounds like a great idea. Why not? And so I thought about the idea of the book in my head. So I conceived it through my imagination. Then I could see it like real. And so then I just took action on it. And then in a matter of, I think I finished that book within it was done in like 3 months. Then I had it in my hand. So that is kind of how I conceived the idea. I believed I could do it. That with that belief, I applied lots of energy, and then therefore I achieved it. And so I had it in my hand. So when I saw that, and this is the first thing I'd really done on a creative level. Once I'd seen that, then I said about like, well, if I can do a children's book, I'll do a novel. And I applied the same thing. And I also, with that, learned from other authors, like what's the best way to write and things like that, kind of modeled successful authors. And I got my first novel done. That took off. And then 39 novels later, 2 publishing companies, all these things that happened from that.
Yeah.
But it's just because I use my imagination all the time. And then I just set about to doing it. There's just something else I don't do, man. I don't believe in failure. I look at failing as a lesson, an opportunity to learn something. I never deem myself a failure. I mess up, I make mistakes, I fail at things, but I don't think I'm a failure when I'm. It's a mindset thing too, by the way.
Yeah. 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 Thank you for sharing that. Those instances where you had an idea and you believed it, and now those ideas they're in real life. People can go check out G. Michael Hopf books on Amazon and see those um and see those ideas that they were just once ideas, but now they are things that are tangible that people can read and really see to just realize that this stuff was never existing before, but now it does.
Exactly. Well, look at what you're doing. It's the same thing. This whole podcast started as an idea. You believed you could do it, then you put the energy toward it, and now you and I are talking from around the world.
Let's take a quick pause. If you're enjoying this conversation and want more thought-provoking ideas straight to your inbox, join the Relatable Wisdom email list. It's free, quick, and filled with bite-sized insights, inspiring quotes, and behind-the-scenes reflections from our guests. Just head to relatablewisdom.com/join. That is relatablewisdom.com/join. Or tap the link in the show notes. And hey, subscribing to the podcast helps more than you think, and it's free. So if you haven't already, hit that follow button wherever you're listening. All right, let's get back to the conversation. Yeah.
It's the exact same thing.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of persons, right, they would want to give an excuse, and they'll tell you that, well, I could have followed that logic. But you see, the problem I'm having, Michael, is that I don't have good ideas. The ideas I have, they're not things that make me exciting. I don't even believe in the ideas in the first place. They're not good enough for me to even believe in the ideas. And so the question is, say, how do I get good ideas that I'm excited to work on? I'm excited so because I'm passionate about that I believe in, not just ideas that are, nah.
I think sometimes when people have ideas and then they turn around and find a reason not to like them. I think it's either they're being honest with themselves and the ideas aren't that good, or they're just coming from fear and they're afraid to take action on it, because having an idea is easy and everyone can have an idea. Taking action on it takes courage, because you risk failing when you take action. You risk putting everything on the line, time, resources, reputation, and you risk that if it doesn't work out, that you're afraid that somehow you'll look at yourself as a failure. And again, this is why it's important to never believe that. Only look at like that didn't work. And then it's a learning opportunity, and that I didn't waste my time. I invested my time so I can learn something. It's all in I call the phrase reframing, to reframe things. People, because there's always like a binary way of looking at the world, man. And that is, people look at the world positively, like cup is half full, and some people look at the world cup is half empty. I always look at it as half full. I don't sacrifice, I invest. Because people are like, I can't sacrifice my weekends to do that. Well, no, it's not sacrifice, it's investing in yourself.
It's not sacrificing, it's investing in yourself. We conceive an idea, we believe in the idea, but sometimes conceiving and believing in the idea is not enough. We don't even have the skill, the technical know-how, the knowledge and all that to actually bring that idea to life. Yeah, we believe in it, which is great and awesome. But then you have to make certain trade-off. You have to learn. Let's say you want to write a book for the first time. You've never written a book before. Now you're asking yourself, well, how do I write a book? I want to write a kid's book. How am I supposed to organize the storyline? Like, how many words is too many words? And all those questions.
I didn't know any of that. But what I did do is I just took action right away. I think it's important. I didn't know anything about writing, like nothing, Like I said, I didn't go to school, and I just decided I could do it, and I just set about to doing it. And the internet's very powerful, and so I found people on the internet that kind of knew what they were doing. I asked lots of questions. I wasn't afraid to knock on doors, as they say, and that kind of led me to where I was. But so the internet is a valuable tool, and I really recommend people, if they have access to it, to use it for the tool that it is, instead of just being entertained by it. Like, there's so much information you can find, and that's what I did. I'd watch lots of YouTube videos. I found lots of other people talking, like podcasts, and just listen to them. I found people that were experts and learned from them. That's all that I did.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought that recommendation up, because I think in this period and age where when you, with a snap of a finger, you can get all your questions answered, the word is for the taking for those who are courageous enough to ask the questions in the first place. Yeah. Oh. Okay. So we've talked about ideas, conceiving, and then we talked about believing, and then we talked about action. Sometimes people say, I believe in the idea. Well, it's not about saying I believe in the idea. It's just like if you have someone who's pitching an idea to you, and they're like, okay, so how long have you been in business? Well, we've been around for like 6 months. Okay, that's good. So how much of your money have you put into the business? Well, actually, I've not really put much of my money into the business. And they're like, okay, so what's your own investment into the business as the founder? Uh not much, not really. And I'm like, okay, I know you believe in the idea, but there is nothing showing that you believe in the idea. Like, if you so much believe in the idea, you should be able to tell me that, well, I put my savings into this business idea. I know that, yeah. Because let your belief be shown in, not just in words, in articulate expressions, but in actions. That, okay, I spent 6 weekends working on this project over and over again, right? Editing and re-editing this idea because I believe in it, right? And so you don't even have to tell people that, oh, when they see you writing a book, you don't even need to tell them that, oh, this stuff is very important to me, and so that's what I'm working on. They know that he has been spending all his nights and weekdays working on this idea. They know that this stuff is really dear to your heart because you show it. Most people, they want to tell you that I believe in it, I'm passionate about this stuff, and I'm like, okay, so what do your actions say about this thing or nothing?
That's 100%. Your actions, that's 100%. Your actions. Everyone can talk. Everyone talks, right? But it's your actions that dictates or determines your success and or your how serious you take it. I was talking to someone this morning about it. And, you know, if I were to give advice to someone who's a new writer, I've given lots of advice to writers over the years. And don't treat it like a hobby, treat it like a second job. And what that means is that you have to show up for it, you know? You have to show up just like you would show up for a job. And then you invest your time into doing it. And so many people talk like, oh, I want to do that. And that sounds great. Well, then do it. Like the action part is what most people don't want to do, because it literally requires energy. It requires time. It shows that that's how important it is to you, because you're willing to, again, invest your time, because we all have the same amount of time and we get to spend it however we want. And if you're spending it on a project or a side business or an idea, then that shows how passionate you are about the idea. And the community, a lot of people talk a big game. They talk a lot, and then you really get to see how serious they are, because nothing is ever there. Like, okay, you had this idea, where is it? Or you've thought about this book, where's the book? Because it doesn't really, I'll be honest, it doesn't take that long to write. It doesn't really. I can write a book, I can write a full-length novel in like 6 weeks, because I sit down, it's like my job, and I just write. That's what I do. And that's what writers do. I've seen people say, I've been writing this book for 10 years. Well, then you're not writing the book, then you're just like messing around. So I guess maybe I'm a little too critical, I guess, with that, but I think it's like action speaks so many volumes about how serious you are in your business and your books and your podcasting, whatever that is.
And one of the because most people are like, oh, what you're talking about action, and what exactly is action? I think the first thing to really know that if you say that you believe in an idea, you've conceived an idea, you believe in it, the first thing to really know if you actually believe in it is just pull up two things. Check out your calendar for the last 1 month, last 2 months, last 3 months, and ask yourself, how much time did I put into doing this thing? And you will know if that thing is important to you. And there's nothing wrong, but in not putting time, but you just have to realize that, okay, is this thing important or is it not important? So you get to really decide and make a stand on it. And then the other thing is your bank balance, your bank statement. So you can also look at, okay, how much money did I spend? Did I spend on this thing?
Yeah.
Right? And in learning, in training, in getting better, and depending on the context of the thing we're talking about. So that would really there are people who they're so much passionate into what's this thing, into podcasting and all that. They buy gears and all that. They buy softwares they use for the editing of the podcast and all that. And so when you look at their balance, you can usually see, okay, so amount went to this. Okay, what's that? Okay, oh, it's podcast related. Okay, this went to this. Oh, what's that? It's podcast related, and you get to tell. So if that doesn't reflect, then you have to ask yourself, do I really believe in this thing, or am I just making noise like everyone wanted?
Yeah, again, that's a good, I'll use the word, a good barometer to know how serious somebody is by the amount of money or resources they want to put into it and time.
Yeah.
If they're not putting any time or resources into it, they're not really it's not that important to them, really.
Yeah. And there's nothing everything doesn't have to be important to you, but we just want you to stop lying to yourself and saying, I'm passionate about this stuff.
Yeah. Because with anything, I believe this. I'll keep it to books. And why I say you can write a book pretty quickly, it's about motivation and inspiration can only take you so far. So what you need is discipline. Discipline is critical. And then you need consistency. So you take that discipline. Discipline means like you've decided you're going to write this book, and even on days or nights you don't want to write it, you've made a promise and pledged to yourself that you're going to do it. So even when you don't want to do it, you're still sitting down and doing it.
Yeah.
That's discipline.
Yeah.
And then if you do that consistently, so you do that every single day or 5 days a week, then I guarantee you within a relatively short period of time, through discipline and consistency, you'll have a book. It's just going to happen because you're consistently sitting down and writing so many words a day. Or for instance, say this. So say you had a goal, I'm going to do 2,000 words a day.
Okay.
Well, if you only did it 5 days a week, you got 10,000 words a week. Well, if you did that for 4 weeks, which is a month, you've got 40,000.
Yeah.
If you did it for 2 months, you have 80,000. And I'm telling you, 80,000 words, that's a novel.
Yeah.
You're done. You've got a book in front of you. And all that took was discipline and consistency. And when I tell people, here's another quote if you want one, everyone's dreams is on the other side of consistency.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. And just a quick disclaimer.
Yeah, go
Just a
ahead.
quick disclaimer I want to point out is that we have to be careful that the thing we're consistent on is the actual action that will get the work done, and not just stuff that looks like the work, feels like the work, but it's not the work, right? Because in this context of writing, being consistent is sitting down and typing and writing your story. There's nothing fancy there. That's consistency. But then it's not like it's not good. It's not like there's anything bad with learning, getting some skills, watching workshops and doing all those things. There's nothing wrong there. But the thing is that you should realize that that is not the work. Because most times people spend their time learning, watching YouTube videos, taking workshops and all that. And then the in their brain, what they've done is like, this is time I've spent doing this thing and working on this thing. And so 3 months, 4 months after, there's no book. And now they're like, well, you said this stuff, but nothing's showing up. And I'm like, what were you spending the consistent time on? Actually, I was, yeah, well, so that's what.
But you know what that is? It's a delay tactic. I've noticed that with new authors, because again, it's fear based. It tends to be. It comes from a place of fear that if I actually execute and I do the work and I write the book, but there is. I mean, let's be honest. When you understand it because you're sitting here having a podcast, you're putting out to the world. Well, the second you put out anything into the world, everyone can have an opinion on it. Everyone can have their say, whether they like it or they hate it. You're great. You suck. Doesn't matter. So everyone has an opinion. So people can have a lot of fear around that. Like, listen, I don't want to put that out there because a lot of people might hate it. But what they don't realize is there's a lot of people are going to love it. And that you anything that you do, you already have to go into it knowing that not everyone's going to like it, but there is always an audience. There's always a reader. There's always someone that is going to like what you're doing. And so you have to this is the mindset thing. You have to just not give a shit about the people that are the haters. You can't care. There's always going to be some. Always. You only have to focus on one. You're doing what you want to do. So when it comes to books, it's important to write the book that you want to read first. So you have to look at yourself as you're the audience first. So don't try to write a book for somebody else. You have to write the book for yourself. And then it's kind of an organic thing that you actually like. And I guarantee if you write the book that you want to read, there is an audience out there for that. Then we can get into the whole conversation, maybe another time about like, how do you find that audience? That's the marketing and promotion and things like that. But yes, people will do that. They'll say, I'm doing the work, and they're taking courses. They're on YouTube. They're looking at this, or like, well, you're not writing. The book isn't going to make itself. And so, yeah, the consistency isn't actually the writing. Because what is a writer? What do writers do? They write. That's what they do. And if you're not writing, then you're not a writer. I've actually gotten heat because I've said that to people before. They're like, well, I'm doing this. Well, then you're not really a writer. Because that's what writers write. That's what they do. And so, yeah, but I think it's a delay tactic. I've run into people because like, well, I decided to write the book, but I'm first going to go back to school. I'm going to go back to school and take some creative writing classes. I'm like, no, just start writing. Just start writing the story. Because I'll say this too. You don't have to be a great writer. Isn't about the technical aspects of the book. A great writer is someone who's a good storyteller. Can you tell a good story? Because when it comes down to cleaning it up and like grammar and syntax and typos, that's what you hire. You get editors to do that. You be the storyteller. Because the storyteller is the one, how does the story flow? Is it engaging? Does it captivate the reader? That's your job as a writer, is to be a storyteller, not a technical writer.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. See the word, the time flies. Thank you so much for sharing your favorite quote with me and for helping me make sense.
Of course. Thank you for having me. Really, thank you. Anytime.
Where can my listeners?
I'm sorry, I didn't get you. What was that again?
Where can my listeners learn more about you and what?
Oh, yeah. Just go to my website at gmichaelhopf.com, and then that's the best place to send me an email. I answer all my emails. I get a lot of people ask me how to help them write. Just if you got any questions at all, please just reach out to me. Again, go to gmichaelhop.com, go to the contact page, and send me an email.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. It's been an absolute delight chatting.
No, same to you. Thank you very much for your time.
You've been listening to Relatable Wisdom, and I've been your host, Wisdom Okonkwo. You've been listening to the podcast where every story, quote, and insight helps you see life a little differently. If you enjoyed today's episode, follow the show on your favorite podcast app and share it with someone who loved the conversation. For more inspiring voices and timeless wisdom, visit relatablewisdom.com. Until next time, keep living, learning, and collecting wisdom that matters most to you.